right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in to NorCal Sports Network. Giants lose a tough one today, 2-1. And we're going to talk about it tonight with my special guest, Steve Harmon. Steve Harmon, who has a podcast called Curveballs and Changeups, and we'll get into that. But first, let us thank our sponsor of this show. That would be Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group, located in Marin, licensed in all of California. Give Chapman Law Group a call for all your legal needs at 415-613-9483. Chapman Law Group, specializing in personal injury. So if you've got a personal injury situation, make sure you give Chapman Law Group a call. Do not settle with an insurance company before reaching out to Chapman Law Group. All right. Welcome on in, Steve. Good to have you on the show. I've heard a little bit of your podcast. It's called Curveballs and Changeups. And Steve, a longtime Giants fan and baseball fan like myself, started following the Giants 1 year before me in 1967. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks for having me here, Dan.
Yeah. So you've been a Giants fan since 67, and you do podcasts. You're up in the Sacramento area, and you do the A's and the Giants, and you cover podcasts for basically you're on all the major podcast networks, Spotify, Apple, wherever podcasts are heard, you can catch Steve. He's done about 43, 44 episodes so far this year, I believe.
Willie McCovey's number right now, 44, yeah.
44, Willie Mack, one of my favorite baseball players of all time. So are you right in Sac? Are you up near West Sac where the A's are at? Or where?
Right in Sacramento, Midtown / East. It's just kind of, I'm in the Mid-East in Sacramento, and it's about 7 or 8 minutes away from the stadium.
Okay. So we got the senior softball games. He's one of our big followers, an OG of the show, and he is up there in Sac, big Sac guy. And now, are you a Kings fan or a Warriors fan?
I'm an adopted Kings fan. I mean, look, I was raised in Berkeley, raised in the Bay Area as a diehard Giants fan. I was a Giants fan before the A's got to Oakland. And so that, you just couldn't go back from there. And then you kind of adopted the A's as they came, and you saw them as the kind of the stepsister. And you thought the fans were a little bit rinky dink and, not so schooled in baseball, new to the game kind of thing. You always kind of look down on the A's fans as a Giants.
Yeah, right. Right.
And so, I was a Warrior fan too, but not so much. I mean, I was Warriors. I was, 49ers. I was Raiders, just all of the Bay Area teams. And then, I've been in Sacramento since 2006 and really only recently kind of got into the Kings. So I can't claim to be a big Kings fan, but I do enjoy him.
All right. Very good. Well, we're going to get into some baseball here. And today the Giants left their bat.
Before you start, if you take a look at the background there, you were talking about Bobby Bonds, seeing Bobby Bonds, his grand slam home run as one of your first memories. That is a Bobby Bonds print there. It's an old Sports Illustrated photo. I've got actually three of them. It's Bobby Bonds, Willie McCovey, and Juan Marichal. And
20, 25, 44, and 27.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this whole room is my baseball room. It's got all sorts of mostly Willie Mays stuff. The bureau you see behind me has a whole 2 shelves of baseball cards of my Willie Mays collection.
Very good. Now, how old's that hat you're wearing? That's got to be an old hat. That's an old time.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's
not?
one of those. It's one of those form-fitted things. It's a.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
I don't have my original Giants hats at all. No.
Okay. I just thought maybe it might be an older one. Now, Yeah, that's pretty cool. Cool room. Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, I don't. I got a Willie McCovey baseball that I caught back in 1980 as a foul ball.
Wow.
That was off
just before he left the scene. My goodness.
Don Robinson was pitching for the Pirates. It was on May 15th, 1980, and was in the crowd. Actually had a press credential because the high school I went to, I was a senior in high school, 1980, and we had a radio station called KVHS, and it was right on campus, and I was the sports director of the station, and so was able to, my professor or teacher, I guess, what you call him in high school, was able to help get a press pass for the day. Wasn't that hard probably back in the day. There was only about 5,000 people at the game that day, and went to the game and brought my little Panasonic recorder that you had to press 2 buttons, press play and record, plugged in a little microphone, and I interviewed a few people. I interviewed Greg Minton of the Giants. That was a lot of fun. I got to interview Dave Bristol, the manager, in the manager's room.
Now, wait, so Greg Minton, did you interview him in the clubhouse?
Yes, in the clubhouse.
So
yeah.
Did you notice he was wearing a girdle?
I don't recall that. I don't.
I interviewed him in, I think it was in 81. And as he was undressing after the game, I said, "Is that a girdle?" And he says, "Well, yeah. What do you think? You think I'm going to be leaning over, looking for the sign with my belly hanging low with all those fans looking at me? I gotta look good." So he was wearing a girdle.
He was pretty much a character. Yeah,
He was great.
Yeah. Jay Belton says, "KVS, you're making me feel old." Just about. Yeah, KVHS. In fact, I was just reading a story about KVHS today in the San Jose Mercury. The station was sold for $1 because it was owned by the school district since 1968. And Clayton Valley High School, the high school I went to, became a charter high school and left the Mount Diablo Unified School District. And it was pretty expensive, so they sold it for $1. Oh. And but they're trying to make it a station so that students can kind of be a part of it. It's really cool. We had, I used to be in the back in the day. Now we have, instant news with Twitter and everything else. But back in the day, we had the ticker that came across, and it was just this. It was what you would picture a ticker tape. And it was the UPI, United Press International. And I would be in the studio doing a sports report, and the ticker would be rolling, and there would be certain reports that would come across the UPI ticker tape. And that's how we got our news. Yeah, and that was, like I say, 1980. What is that, 45 years ago? My goodness.
So I did broadcasting at San Francisco State, and that was right in that era. 79, 80, started broadcasting in 80, 81, 82. And we had a UPI, I don't think they called it a ticker tape. It was UPI. I forget exactly what it was. But anyway, so that's where rip and read comes from, right? You would rip the tape off and then race into the studio and read off the latest news.
Correct. Yeah, San Francisco State. Interesting. I had applied at San Francisco State. I was going to school down in San Diego College and Point Loma College, and I was going to go back to San Francisco, and I was going to go to San Francisco State for broadcasting. Exactly. I was transferring, and then
they accepted everybody. Nobody ever gets rejected at San Francisco State.
I was ready to go, and then ended up meeting my my previous wife and got married right out of college. I was in my early 20s and ended up living in Southern California for many years. So, but yeah, pretty wild stuff. So I kind of would have loved to have gone to San Francisco State. That was my goal.
Probably would have been booth partners. We probably would have.
Yeah.
I was there from 80 to 84.
Yeah, that was when I would have been there. I would have been there, and I would have transferred in the 80. Let's see. I was down there 80. It would have been 82. I would have arrived. I would have been a sophomore going into my sophomore year.
Part of it. Yeah.
And, 82. But ended up going to Cal State Fullerton. And so, but anyway, let's touch on today's game. Giants did not bring their bats. They were very silent. Only 3 hits today. Ohtani shut them down. He gave up 1 hit to Yastrzemski, and then Bailey, I believe, got the hit, and then Ramos, the only other hit, drove in the only run of the game for the Giants.
Well, no, his hit loaded the bases, and then it was Devers.
That's right, Devers sacrifice fly. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I thought he was going to score when he hit it, but
I saw a fan. Kind of bringing up the Matt Williams thing on that, saying fire Matt Williams. But I'm sorry, you're down 2-0. You got Bailey running from second base. I think it's no outs at that point. You hold them for sure. So you can't send him. Yeah. Williams.
So Devers went. It's funny because the crack of the bat, I thought he got it. Devers. It was like, oh my goodness, because they just put the graphic up that he had 7 grand slams, and I said, "Oh, there's number 8," and it was, it was to the deep part of the ballpark.
Yeah, wrong part of the ballpark.
Yeah,
I would have taken a line. I would have taken a line drive base hit to tie the game. I don't need a sacrifice fly. We can talk about it if you want to be, but
I think the break's coming at a good time for Devers. He's going to need some rest. He's going to get 4 days off. And he just needs to get some treatment and get that back that's been bothering him, get him well for the second half. And I'm not sure if we're going to see much of first base with Devers if that injury. It doesn't look like can move very good.
Well, it's both his back and his groin, right? At the back, most recently, the groin he's had since before he came over from Boston. And I am convinced that his swing has been affected by both those injuries, that he is not able to get torque on his swing. He's not able to get around on fastballs. I mean, really any fastballs, to tell you the truth. He's coming around on it. I mean, he does not get around on fastballs up or in. That's where his vulnerability is. And I mean, the best thing he's done lately is just take walks and help. He has kind of spurred rallies with his eye, but I mean, I'm sorry, we need a little more out of that. But, I don't know if 4 days is going to be enough to calm that.
Yeah,
he's got an irritated disc, right? I mean,
well, this is what I was thinking. It sounds like a disc, and the fact that the groin is maybe a nerve. It's what I was experiencing when I had my herniated disc. The herniated disc can run, depending on which disc it is. If it's 3, 4, 4, 5, if it can run through the groin area down through the sciatic, and if you're having a little bit of reverberated pain there, there's no way, if that is going to be aggravating him, I don't know if he's going to be that effective the second half, because it's really, as you said, you mentioned perfectly. He's behind on fastballs. He's swinging and missing pitches that are right in the sweet spot of the plate.
Yeah.
And just the littlest, slightest twinge could cause you to change your swing slightly, just so you're not feeling the pain possibly. I don't know, but it's we haven't seen him really drive the ball since he hit that
the first game,
second home run.
Yeah.
He hit the second home run, I believe, in I'm trying to remember where he hit that one. Center field. Yeah, the one he hit the straightaway center. He hit one.
First one to left.
Yeah, first one to left against Boston. Then, Hey, question from Senior, who's up in Sacramento. Have you ever worked at KOVR?
No. I worked in. So let me just give a real quick. I was a sports writer for 7 years, and the last year and a half or so was the Sacramento Union. For all those old folks, remember that, when the B had competition, and before that, it was with the Vacaville Reporter, and that's where I got all of my my experience covering the Giants and A's back in the 80s and early 90s.
Okay.
but never for a TV or radio station.
Okay. Senior says he worked at KOBR, and he said you seem familiar.
Mm-hmm.
First name's Kelly, but I don't know if that rings a bell to you. But anyway, let's see if we got some different comments here. Cole Dunson says probably part of the reason not performing is Devers' injuries. As I described, clearly affecting his swing. He's in it for the long haul, so I'm not worried about it. Yeah, I'm hoping this isn't something that's going to need off-season, kind of surgery or something. I think, isn't that what Tom Murphy had, was a herniated disc, and he never did go through surgery. He ended up going through the epidurals. I think he's had a couple of epidurals.
Well, as a former herniated disc victim, I can tell, and you too,
yeah.
I can tell you, first of all, the epidurals did not work for me.
Didn't work for me either.
So then I had to go through surgery, and I've got lifetime numb-footedness. So I would not recommend the surgery. Remember, Steve Kerr went through that too.
Yeah.
And he, I think he has made it he did for a while. He was very public about telling people to avoid that surgery if at all possible. But I mean, all the other stuff, if it's affecting your sciatica, which it was with mine,
yeah. I couldn't walk.
Yeah,
I couldn't walk. I
was crab walking.
Yeah, it is one of the most painful things to have, is a herniated disc right on sitting on your sciatic nerve. Yeah, mm-hmm. It was like I'd had a Charlie horse or a gunshot to my thigh. Mm-hmm. Every step I took, it just killed me. I had to use a walker, even though I didn't need the walker to walk. I was going to fall. So but surgery's tough because you never know if it's going to go well or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a really touchy area.
Yeah. But, as we looked at this game today, I knew it was going to be a low scoring game because I knew Emmett Sheehan was coming behind behind Ohtani, and the Giants had never got a hit off of him. In fact, they didn't get a hit off of him until late in the game today. They were able to get
I think he went three hitless at first, and then the fourth inning, or maybe it was.
Yeah, I think it was the fourth inning. He gave up a couple of hits or maybe it was the fifth inning he was pitching. He went 4 1/3. Yeah, he went four innings without giving up a hit, which brought his hitless streak. The Giants, I think it was up to 13 plus innings where the Giants had never got a hit off the guy. And he's got some pretty good stuff, but he's not, he's not this unhittable guy. But the Giants, this is what I want to get into, and I want to talk about the Giants lineup. I am very concerned with the lineup, and I have been a proponent of saying that Matt Chapman needs to be in front of Devers, because Devers is a guy that's even though he's still hurt, he's the guy that is the most feared hitter in the lineup. So you're not going to give in to Devers with Chapman behind Devers. But if Chapman is in front of Devers, I think Chapman sees some better pitches. And he is constantly coming up in the fourth spot in key situations, and he just doesn't seem to come through with runners in scoring position on a, I know that, the best hitters fail 70% of the time. Okay, I get that. But Matt Chapman, to me, and I'm not looking at the stats, I'm just looking at with my eyes and kind of there's a muscle memory or something in there that tells me Matt Chapman fails most of the time with runners in scoring position. And I don't know what it is.
No, his numbers are down. But I mean, I have to say, so I actually agree with you. I think, that's the whole point of having Devers in the lineup, is to provide protection to the players around him, right? So, so why not have Devers protect a Matt Chapman? But now the only other thing is that, I don't know if most people don't realize that, but Devers was the number 2 hitter for the Red Sox for a long time. He has not been a number 3 hitter.
Right.
So I don't know how comfortable or uncomfortable he is hitting in that spot. Melvin had him in the number 2 spot for a little while, but things weren't working out so well. I think it's just an overall thing. I think the Giants are just a bad hitting team. They're not a bat to ball team. They are too much of the mind of the long ball. That Matt Chapman actually has a nice opposite field stroke when he uses it.
Mm-hmm.
But right now he looks like he's jumping at pitches. And first of all, Giants are the worst guessing team I've ever seen. And I don't understand why they guess so much. I wish they would just go up, see ball, hit ball, look for a fastball and adjust. That's, Barry Bonds was in the booth today with Kuiper and
right.
Rucco, and he barely touched on that. They did ask him about that. They asked him if he was a guess hitter, and he said no.
Right.
He just looked for his pitches. He looked for good pitches to hit. And I wish they would have expounded on that a little bit more. But I think the Giants take way too many good pitches right down the middle because they didn't get what they were looking for. So suddenly they're 0-1, and then suddenly they're getting the pitcher's next, the best pitches. And, so to me, the first pitch is probably going to be the best pitch you get in many occasions. I don't like necessarily going after the first pitch every time, but be ready. Just be ready for that first pitch if it's right there. Secondly,
took a pitch today against Ohtani. Second strike, took a fastball right in his wheelhouse, low and in.
Oh, did you see that? And then he swung at the pitch in his eyes.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? And that is what the Giants have done all season long. They guess wrong, and then suddenly they're in a hole, and then suddenly they're having to go after the pitcher's pitch. And so, I guess that's the philosophy, but I think they had it before. They had it during Kapler's time too. So I think it's just a philosophy that goes around baseball. But
what do you think of this, Steve? I had a friend of mine I was talking to today. We were talking a little bit about the Giants, and we were talking about how just what you mentioned, Chapman doesn't go to right field enough, constantly trying to pull the ball. And Casey Schmidt had we've seen him go to right field quite a bit.
Right field today.
Yeah, hit a bullet to right field. What do you think about Casey Schmidt being up in the second spot? Do you think that would be a good position for a guy that can spray the ball around?
No. I know you love Casey Schmidt, and I'm not doing this to flatter you, okay?
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think he has matured as a hitter. His discipline has shot up just tremendously. So and right now, and he's seeing the ball real well. So why not use it now? Use him up there now. He could go into a funk and then you move him, but with his swing as it is now, which is he's spraying the ball all over the field. He's gotten those doubles to right field off the wall. He goes with the pitch. He had that nice line drive today that was a nice catch by Teoscar Hernandez. So I am all for that. It does kind of shorten the bottom of your lineup a little bit. But if you put Chapman down there, 6th, then maybe you get a different kind of, outcome over there. Maybe Chapman doesn't press so much. I think Chapman thinks he has to be the guy, and he doesn't.
Well, when he's up there in the 4 spot with runners in scoring position, or it's the heart of the order, he seems to press a little bit more. Yeah,
you see him jumping at pitches.
Yeah, he jumped at the 2-0 pitch today and hit a chopper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that is a concern with the whole thing, the lineup, is Jung-Hoo Lee to me. Jung-Hoo Lee is a guy that looks like he thinks he's a power hitter in a park that is the furthest from being a he's swinging out of his feet.
He's been pull happy for too long. He started the season with a good opposite field approach. So I don't know what happened there. It could be. I do know that they do work him inside, and they get him to ground, to roll it over. But if there's any discipline from him, it would be to lay off that inside pitch and try to work it so that he can go the other way on pitches away. But that would be his game, is to go the other way.
Well, the second run of the game today by the Dodgers was an 0-2 pitch to.
I can get into that with you.
from Roop to Hae-Sung Kim, That's what Jung-Hoo Lee needs to do, is just pop the ball into left center field as he did. He did not try to kill it. He just and if I recall, he had got him out 2 or 3 times on the changeup earlier in the game. He did not throw a changeup the whole sequence until the very last pitch.
No, that last one was a curve.
It wasn't a curve. Okay, I couldn't remember if it was a changeup.
So look, he got him on the changeups, right? But he also got him on a 93 sinker up, right? On that a strikeout. So, and that I was going to go over that with you. There were actually 2 0-2 hits in that 6th inning. He gave him an 0-2 hit to Conforto, fastball right down the middle. To me, that's Patrick Bailey, and I think his laziness and his arrogance. I think Patrick Bailey reserves respect for certain players and doesn't respect other players, and he did not respect Conforto enough. I don't think it was a mistake location, but it was a fastball that he thought he could get by him, and Conforto hit it nicely to left field. 0-2 fastball right down the middle. And then with Kim, 2 batters later, he had him 0-2 on a couple of curves. But you think Kim is dumb? You'd think he's not thinking with you. So he tries another curveball, and he's waiting for it right at the bottom of the line of the strike zone, and strokes it beautifully to left field for that hit. Just throw a fastball up on both those guys. You don't have to throw it in the strike zone on 0-2. I mean, Kruko talks about that all the time.
It's a pet peeve of mine. It goes all the way back to 21 in Game 5 of the NLDS with Camilo Doval against Cody Bellinger, who could not hit the fastball up above the letters that year.
He always went after it.
And he was dealing with a shoulder injury from the year before. And what does Doval do? He shakes off Buster like umpteen times, and he throws the slider.
Right.
And Bellinger
speeds up his bat.
Yeah, and just knocks it into center for the game ender. And the Giants went on to lose that game 2-1. All you had to do is throw the fastball above the letters at 100. There's no way Bellinger catches up with that. If he even does, it's a pop-up. And
I don't know if it's a love affair that Camilo has with his slider, or if it's a love affair that that Bailey and the pitching coach, JP Martinez have. But I think those guys, I think Camilo and Rodriguez need to use their 99s more and use it more effectively. Use it up, use it in, and then you can use your slider, when it's not expected. But anyway, those 0-2 hits just are deadly.
But let's give credit also to Landon Roop. Justin says, shout out to Roop for pitching a hell of a game. He really did pitch a great game. He went 6 innings, only gave up 2, 1 earned run. Mm-hmm. We had the unearned run early on when Adames threw the ball away at short, made a nice dive and catch, but wasn't able to.
Yeah, you make that play, that's an out. And I think he didn't have to rush it the way he did.
Yeah,
Landon Roop threw great. And what was great to watch was the way he handled Ohtani and Betts at the top of the order. I mean,
he attacked him.
Oh, he was so good at that. He went right after them, and he showed them everything he had, and looked very confident. So I love the way he dealt with them. Freddie Freeman, he gave up the double, but I think he did well against him in his other 2 at-bats. But the one player that seemed to give him real trouble was Conforto, but also Pages. Pages seems to have a real good feel for, the soft stuff.
Right. I wanted to go back to this this hitting situation with the Giants, and they're always, as you mentioned, going for the long ball, and their swings are uppercut swings. They don't drive the ball. I was watching something on Twitter today you remember Frank Thomas with the White Sox. This is a clip that I want to put here.
I do not want to hear that ever again. What? Put the ball in the air. I do not want to hear another hitter say, put the ball in the air. You cut the ball in half, you finish right, the ball will get in the air. Do not say I'm trying to hit the ball in the air. You try to hit the ball in the air consistently, you're going to be hit 220 and above. I'm just telling you right now, do not try to put the ball in the air. I've heard that too much this year.
You are preaching to the Ozzie Guillen
choir. The days I say I wish Frank Thomas was sitting in this set to talk about put the ball in the air. I never hear any hitting coach, anybody saying, put the ball in the air. I never see that.
No.
The ball is going to be in the air.
Yeah. It's called backspin.
Mm-hmm.
If a ball's elevated, you hit it in the middle, it backspins out the ballpark. A ball down, if you get down, cut it in half, you can elevate the baseball. Do not try to elevate it that way. A ball up, you're trying to elevate it, it's a big problem, especially with the velocity of 95 and above. So I hate to hear it. Please stop saying it. Cut the ball in half, finish. It will elevate, it will backspin, it will get out of the ballpark.
Jason, you had a job tomorrow. Make sure you find, when I was talking about this, I'm going to punch in Judy hitter, the worst hitter in the White Sox history, maybe. And when I say that, I said, I never hear that.
Yeah.
I did it.
We
I said,
are hearing them saying it.
By the way, you know how many times I say, I wish Frank was sitting next to me, can explain better what's that mean? Like, go to the play, like, I'm going to hit it in there.
So if you said it a little bit. So if you hit the ball in the air, I know I get that.
If you try to hit a ball in the air, Chuck, as a hitter, this is trying to elevate a baseball.
Mm-hmm.
That is horrible mechanics.
You're going to strike out more?
You're going to strike out more, you're going to pop up balls more.
Yep.
Your average does this. That's why so many guys in the big leagues right now hitting 250 and below, because of that approach. If your ball's elevated, you stay through the baseball, it will jump out of the ballpark. The ball's middle down, you stay through the baseball, you cut it in half, the ball is out of the ballpark. Even the ball down the ground, you get down through the baseball, you cut it in half, it backspins out of the ballpark.
Why do you think they're saying this?
I have no idea where this terminology came from.
Wow. Now,
Willie Adames is in. Flares up in my mind when he talks about that uppercut and the pop-ups. And yeah, sure, Willie Adames has had a nice last month, but he's still doing what he did all season long, and that is he's going for the home run. He's swinging uppercut. He's popping balls up. Thankfully,
how many pop-ups do the Giants have? How many pop-ups? I mean, there was 2 or 3 that Edman caught in foul territory.
Yeah.
At third base, the Giants are constantly popping the ball up. How often do you see a ball driven on a line by the Giants? I don't see too many. I do not see too many. Ramos seems to hit the ball pretty hard at times.
Yeah, he's in a real funk. He's 20 for his last 100.
Yeah. Schmidt will hit it on the line. When Chapman gets a hold of it, at times he hits the ball with, hits it hard. But Jung-Hoo Lee, very much feathery fly balls. That he doesn't have the power to hit the ball out of the park. His swing, you could see his swing is an uppercut. He's either hitting it an uppercut or he's swinging on top of it to a ground ball, second base. I don't see any just straight level, punch the ball out there like Tony Gwynn and just drive it into the left center or right center or whatever. Use the whole field.
I think it's a problem in all of the game, and that is that you don't people like Arias over at San Diego are scorned. Baseball people see him as not holding much value with the base hits that he gets. But if you get enough of those guys who play, bat to ball, who go the other way, you're going to get some rallies going. And I thought that that's what the Giants were aiming for in spring training. I thought Bob Melvin had them focusing on stringing base hits together. He didn't want the power necessarily. And why would you shoot for power in a park that they play in? This team should be designed to be a punch and Judy type team.
Yes.
But you don't have that. You have everybody has mentality. Even Brett Wisely, you ever see him? All he does is swing for the fence.
Yeah.
Get out of here. You're a second baseman. Just start hitting line drives. And then when he gets one, then he gets in. Then the next 50 swings, he thinks he's going to get another home run.
Right. I had Steve. I had a guy. I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. We were on Twitter and he was arguing with me that Rod Carew, that players that are hitting in the 220s, 230s that have higher OPSs are more valuable than Rod Carew.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, and he was just saying that, Rod Carew was an empty hitter. He wouldn't be a great player, wouldn't be needed in today's game. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, that it always is very painful to go with those, go through those conversations with the folks who have no idea what those kinds of players were. George Brett, Rod Carew, Tony Gwynn,
Wade Boggs.
All those guys, they provided so much. I mean, you get rallies going. If you get a couple, Lyman Bostock, if you remember the 1977 Minnesota Twins team that had Rod Carew, they had a bunch of other guys who, hit the ball, put it in play, got great rallies, had great offense.
Yep.
50 touchdown, 3-pointer, and money. Yeah.
Equal the long-term deals. Yeah, I was talking with back in 2017, the Giants hitting coach Alonzo Powell. He came over from Houston, and I was walking with him in the parking lot at Scottsdale Stadium, and I said, "Hey, Alonzo, what's the deal with everybody swinging and missing today? I don't understand it." And he said, "They don't care. Because they don't care if they strike out. The money's in the long ball, and they just have no pride in it's funny because it's been a long time since I played baseball, but striking out was an embarrassment when you struck out and you walked back to the dugout and it's like, man, just put the ball in play. We saw this Friday night not Friday night. I take that back. I want to go all the way back to Monday night against the Phillies. The Giants won 3-1, I believe it was. The score was tied
with the 2 runs
1-1
on the two runs in the ninth inning on 2 hit by pitches, a base hit, and then a ground ball up the middle by Casey Schmidt.
Yes,
then another ground ball to the right side that brought in a run. You got 2 runs out of that.
Exactly, and if you remember, if you were listening, Kuiper and Kruko were saying, just put the ball in play. Yeah. Good things happen when you put the ball in play.
And the irony is that so few people put the ball in play that defenses aren't ready. Defenses don't know how to play anymore. So go ahead and take advantage of that by putting the ball in play.
Yeah. So just by putting the ball in play, the Giants were able to put across 2 runs. And that's what you just need to do. And yet so many people I watch a lot of baseball. I don't watch just Giants baseball. I have the MLB network. So I'm watching games tonight, and I'm watching just before we came on the air. In fact, I don't know what happened. I was watching Houston and Texas. They were 3-3 in the 11th. Let me see if that game ended. But guys were up with a chance to, move the runner over in extra innings, and they're striking out. And that's why the game keeps going to the 11th inning.
That's also the manager. I mean, where's the manager? First of all, where's the teaching of the fundamentals? The first important priority in the extra innings is to get that runner over, but they get so greedy, and the philosophy is, that you're going to get more out of swinging for a base hit than bunting to move the runner over.
Right.
And that's the analytics that has gone haywire.
Yep. Philip says,
I'd rather see analytics. Oh wait, I'm sorry.
I was just reading this one. I'd rather see balls being sprayed around the field than a home run once in a while. Yeah, just the home run's nice, but this, that 21 team that the Giants won 107 games, they lived and died by the long ball.
They did have the long ball.
Most of their runs were scored via the home run.
But if you go back to 2010, 12, and 14, those teams were built on magic, right? They were built on the small ball approach, and they were built on putting the ball in play and doing the little things. And that's why the world was so unimpressed with the Giants and always tried to kind of steal their glory by saying they weren't really the best teams in those years, because they weren't necessarily, but they did the right things, and they capitalized when they had to.
Yeah. Now, the Giants play tomorrow. The end of the first half, technically, as far as they're already past.
Yeah, it's not technically, but it's
technically 81. They're already have played
94 games.
94, correct. So tomorrow will be game 95. The Giants, what is their record right now?
8 games over, 53 and 40. 45, I think it is. 53,
Yeah,
55.
53-45.
Is that right?
They are 52 and 44.
That's what it is. Yeah, 8 games
52 and 44. Okay. So they have a chance to go 53 and 44 after tomorrow. Robbie Ray to the mound against Yamamoto. Last time the Giants were able to get to Yamamoto, Casey Schmidt hit the grand slam in LA, and Giants were able to take him. So tomorrow's a big game in the sense the Giants are. I don't think they're going to be competing for the division personally. I think the Dodgers get moving in the second half. Blake Snell is already had a rehab assignment. He's coming back. You're seeing the Dodger pitching starting to get healthy, but the Giants have to, stay within distance. Plus this wild card, every game matters. Right now, as we said, they're 52 and 44. Okay, so
they're a half game ahead. Oh, I didn't see what the Padres did. They were a half game ahead of the Padres for that last wild card spot, but
yeah, Giants have 66 games remaining. That's going to go quick, guys. That is going to go very quick. You think about it. Once they get back from the All-Star break, they will start up playing again next Friday, and they will be in Toronto. And you're talking July 18th.
And Toronto's hot. Toronto's in first place now in the East. They won like 10 out of 11.
Yes. So you're going to have a tough schedule. You're going to go to Toronto, and then you're going to go to Atlanta. That's never easy. Then you come home and you got the Mets that are one of the top teams in baseball and in the National League. And then you get Pittsburgh. Then you go back and you go New York and Pittsburgh on the road. So as we get going here, you got 65 games remaining after tomorrow's game. All of a sudden you're going to wake up and it's going to be the middle of August and there's going to be like 35 games to go. Okay. And you're going to go, whoa, this season's almost over. And every game is going to get critical. What do the Giants need to do, Steve, in the second half? What pieces would you like to see them add?
Well, first of all, the lost series in Chicago and Miami might just come back and bite them. Remember those series when we thought that the Giants would come out and win maybe 5 out of 6 on that in that little stretch, and that opportunity is gone. So now they have to make up for those losses. Okay, so there are trade possibilities out there, right? But I know that there's some agitation to bring in more power for first base because, Dom Smith is not your prototypical power first baseman. I like Dom Smith, actually. I mean, he seems to be a stabilizing force. His defense has been great. And he wouldn't be important if the rest of the marquee players would do their job. Right. So I don't know. I'm not for necessarily adding major pieces. I mean, I think the Giants are really going to have to do it with what they have. I think the Giants have to just rely on people like Ramos to get it back going, for Lee to restart and change the approach he has. I mean, I just don't see any one player coming in to make a big difference. I don't think they need to bring in a pitching piece. I think their pitching staff is pretty solid.
Now, I would disagree with you there a little bit. I think the pitching is going to be an area that I don't know if it holds up. I love Roop, but I don't know if he's going to be come September. He's never gone past, I believe, 110 innings or so in his career.
He's at 95 or so now, right?
He's up in the high 90s, yes. And then Birdsong seems a little unreliable at this point. And then we don't know what you're going to get out of Verlander. Are you going to get Verlander, who looked like he was pitching pretty well last game, whereas, even though the results weren't there? Or are you going to get sporadic Verlander that gets hit pretty hard and, gives you 5 innings, but gives up 8-9 hits and gives up, goes 5 innings, but gives up 4 runs? Verlander if he can give you 5 innings and keep it to 2 runs or less is what he needs to do. That's what they're going to have to get out of Verlander.
Right. And actually, I do think that the key is the young guys. I think Roop and Birdsong have to emerge big time in the second half. They're going to have to kind of carry the second load. You've got, of course, Webb and Robbie Ray, but those 2 guys, they're not going to be able to trade to replace them. They're not going to bring anybody in to replace them. So they have to be the guys to step in to do the job. And then I've always had faith in Verlander, maybe too much faith. But I think he gives you solid outings every time. I mean, of course, there have been some blips along the way, but most of his starts have been solid. It's just everybody has to pull together. The offense, I mean, look, they're hitting .231 as a team, and it's consistent all year long. It's been a terrible hitting team. You're not going to win that way. They have relied so much on their pitching throughout the season, and they haven't rewarded it enough. So, yeah, you can bring in Cal Raleigh, I'm all for it. But
I don't know where they're going to. Yeah, they do need another catcher, I believe, that's going to have to. Oops. Hold on here. Let me get these comments up. I think they need a catcher that is going to be able to hit in case Bailey falters in the second half. He's kind of shown the last 2 years he's faltered in the second half with his hitting. Maybe this year will be a little different, but he had a horrible first half.
Right.
Maybe he reversed. Maybe he switches that. You also need, to me, you need somebody that can get on base more in this lineup. I don't know where that comes from, but it is a lineup that looks to me.
So there was talk that I saw about Stephen Kwan coming over from the Indians. I don't
know if they would get rid of him though, because they're right in the thick of it, aren't they?
No, they're not. No,
aren't they in the wild card race?
Oh, I don't know. Let
me pull up the actual standings here, and we'll take a look. See where the I still call them the Indians myself.
Oh, did I just say that? I'm sorry.
I don't. Doesn't bother me. I call them intentionally.
They're 4 under 500. They're 13.
Yeah, and they're 4.5 out. They're 4.5 out of the wild card, but they still got about 5-6 teams in front of them. They got Tampa, Minnesota, Texas, LA, Kansas City, all.
Right. So I mean, I don't know where the Kwan's name started emerging as a candidate, but I have seen his name, and I would take him. He's a good on base guy. He's he hits a lot, right? He hits .290. I think his on base is around 340, 350. I mean, I would put him in right field, or put him in left and Ramos in right. And then maybe have Yaz and Jung-Hoo Lee split off, I guess. I don't know. But I would not reject Kwan. If he was offered, I'd find a way to get him in there. I don't hear you, Dan.
I had my mic muted there. What's your take on how the Giants are handling Luis Matos? Because, well, here's my thing on him, and I want to get your take on this. Either play him or just leave him in the AAA, because he needs at bats.
Right.
And
start.
And they have not given him at bats. They played Yaz and Lee over him, who, I mean, Yaz is having a decent year, but why aren't we seeing Matos out there? Today we had a situation, I'm trying to remember who was at bat, and I said, I got to look at my text because
was it Vessier?
Vessier was pitching, and I said Matos should be pinch hitting for Lee. Yes, Lee came up to bat, and it was against Vessier, and I'm like, why isn't Matos pinch hitting? If it was reversed, if Matos was up and it was a right-handed pitcher, they would have batted Lee. But they don't want to disrespect Lee for some reason. I don't know why they protect Lee when Lee has shown very little at the plate the last month and a half, 2 months.
The contract is a big consideration, I think. I mean, but also I do think that Melvin doesn't have he doesn't feel like he can rely on Matos, and he hasn't given him enough opportunity to do that. But Matos has not come through enough for Melvin to put him in a spot like that. But I agree. I think well, first of all, to start the season, I think he should have been down in AAA and just getting his at-bats. Like Marco Luciano. Luciano is getting his at-bats, and he's doing great now in Sacramento.
17 homers.
Yeah, if I were the Giants, I'd try to use that hot bat, bring him up to see if they could keep the hot bat going in the major leagues.
Where would you put him? Where would you put him?
I'd put him at DH. Let Devers sit for a minute.
I
mean, Devers, it could be that Devers comes out of that break not feeling as great as he thought he would, and then suddenly you put him on the IL. But
yeah, maybe you give Devers an IL stint, and Luciano. I mean, he hit one the other night in Utah off the scoreboard for his 17th home run.
I was in Sacramento when he had a homer and a triple, and he looks like he's confident. He looks like he's having fun, and he looks dominant at that level. But the problem with the Giants, I always feel like the Giants just don't know how to develop these players to be big leaguers. Who was the third baseman? Duvall. He was so good at the AAA level, but they never gave him a shot. Then suddenly he gets over to Cincinnati. He's a 40 home run guy.
Right.
I mean, that seems to be the pattern that the Giants have always had with their minor leaguers. Now, Elliot Ramos, they got lucky. They were not planning on holding on to him. They were right on the verge of.
He was going to be just like Joey Bart. Yep.
Yeah.
He was going to get DFA'd basically, or forced to be in a trade. And this is something that was frustrating me for quite a while. I've been pointing it out for a couple of years that Ramos needed to play, and then they finally got the chance last year with the injuries to Slater, Lee, and Conforto, leaving the Giants with no choice but to play Ramos every day.
Yeah, remember Matos came up before him, and Matos had that big week.
Right.
Remember that? And then it turned out it was Ramos who was the guy who stayed, who stuck.
Right. And then they did the same thing pretty much with Schmidt, never giving him an opportunity, blocking him, not letting him play, and then they're doing it to Matos. I don't know that the Giants are that good enough of a team to not at least see what these guys can do. And you just talked about Luciano. Imagine if Matos and Luciano came up and started hitting along with Ramos and Schmidt, and you just all of a sudden had four of your regulars that are under 25 from your minor league system. Well, Casey might be 26 right now, but 25, 26. But you think about it, Luciano's still 23. Matos still 23. These guys are still too young. A lot of people want to give up on them and say, let them go. They're not producing. But they're still 23. We're seeing that Ramos really started to get it together. What happens if these guys are able to put it together, and all along you've been chasing guys like Yaz and Adam, and you're chasing these guys that are 230 hitters, and they've shown it. They're 230 hitters, and you've got guys that can, I mean, I don't know if Luciano's going to ever hit for average, but I think he can maybe hit you 240, but he might be able to hit you 25 plus bombs in the big leagues. Matos is a guy that I think can hit you 260 plus, and he doesn't strike out. We talked about guys that make contact. Matos is a guy that strikes out about 15% of the time, whereas most of the Giants are striking out 25%.
Yeah, I think the problem is that these guys just aren't getting the opportunity, and you're not going to be able to see how good they are with just sporadic play. But in terms of your question about what they should do, I really do believe that they're going to have to sink or swim basically with the roster that they have, or whoever they may want to bring up from the minor leagues. But and so that means that maybe a lineup shift is what is needed. The one that you talked about with Chapman hitting ahead of Devers. But it's going to take. Look, Chapman is hitting 240. Adames is hitting 225. Yaz is hitting 245. Batting average is important to me. It's much more important than people realize, and that because the way you win games is to have rallies, right? You need to score runs, and the Giants aren't going to do that with the power, with the long ball. They're just not built to be a power team. Now, in terms of tomorrow's game, we talked about Yamamoto and how the Giants actually beat him the previous time. He, his last outing, he got rocked in the first inning by the Brewers. He was knocked out after 9 hitters. Gave up, I think, 5 hits in that first inning.
Yeah.
5 runs, 3 earned runs. So, you never know that he probably feels much more refreshed, and maybe he just needed a tweak. But I do worry about him going against the Giants tomorrow, just because the Giants are the absolutely worst team against left-handed pitching, in that they're hitting .215 against left-handed pitching.
Yamamoto throws from the right, though. Yeah.
He does? What?
Yeah. Yamamoto's a right-hander. Yeah.
Oh, what am I talking about?
Yeah. Right. He's a righty, but
never mind.
Yeah.
Then. For some reason, I thought he was a lefty.
Yeah. No, you might be thinking of Kikuchi or something like that, who's with the Angels, another Japanese pitcher, lefty. All right, never mind. Yeah. But
he has a split finger.
Yeah. He does throw a nasty split finger, which is tough on the righties. Yeah. So I you mentioned that you think they're going to have to go with this. I kind of get the feeling a lot of people are expecting the Giants to make some big moves. And because, Buster has this, everybody thinks Buster has this magic. Well, there's about 20 other teams that are looking at the same players that some of the Giants, that the Giants are going to try and get. And the Giants farm system is not nearly as good as many of these other teams. So I'm not sure if the Giants come up with anything major, to really help this club. Maybe they get a player here or there around the edges. Maybe they find a left-handed reliever. Maybe they get a 4th or 5th starter somehow. But I don't see them making some drastic moves like they pulled off with Devers. I don't see them, going out and getting a Ronald Acuna, who there's been a little bit of murmurs out there about, would the Braves move off of Acuna? Very doubtful, very, very doubtful. But guys like that, I don't think the Giants, even if he was to become available, you'd have to give up Eldridge, and you'd probably have to give up I don't even know if the Giants have enough to get a Ronald Acuna. They would have to give up probably somebody like Webb and Eldridge to get a Ronald Acuna, and they're not going to do that. So
no. Is there a Freddie Sanchez out there?
Some people say like a Isaiah Kiner Falefa with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Might be a guy.
Yeah, who I liked is Florida, the second baseman.
Oh, Xavier Edwards?
Yeah, Edwards.
Oh, I love him.
He would bring in the speed game. He's the bat on ball guy that I really would love to have.
Yes.
Problem is that would ace out Casey Schmidt. Casey Schmidt, I do cringe every time a ball is hit to him at second base. I worry about them, but he's done a pretty good job so far. And he turned that double play last night. Like he had no fear. It was a great play by him with, Chapman making the hard throw from third base.
Right.
And he made that kind of the one-handed grab, like he had no fear. I've played second base, and it's not an easy catch to make and throw, but he did it very naturally. So maybe he does, kind of move into that position seamlessly.
Yeah, I mean, he says, obviously third base is his preferred position, his most natural position, but of the other infield spots, he feels most comfortable, he said on our show here last year or during the offseason, second base is the position.
Even more than short?
Even more than short, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he feels a little more comfortable at second, and I'm not sure if it's because of just more time to get to balls, and then he can take his time throwing it a little bit because he's got a cannon for an arm. So
Got a great arm, yeah.
Yeah, so
we'll
see.
If we had a chance, I think if the Giants got Quan and Edwards, that would be my dream, because you'd have bat to ball guys. You'd have guys who run, the guys who make things happen on offense, and that's what the Giants need.
Yeah, I would love a guy like Xavier Edwards and Quan. The Giants had Otto Lopez in camp last year at spring training.
Oh, yeah.
He's their everyday shortstop with Miami now.
He hurt the Giants.
And he's only like 23, 24 years old, and he's hitting the ball pretty well. If you look at his numbers, he's having his better year. At least a week or two ago, he was having a better year than Adames. He's actually not a bad ball player, and he's got speed. He's got some, he's just very athletic. I don't know why the Giants don't seem to add players with athleticism to the roster. If you look at the roster, I don't see any real athleticism 1 through 9 out there.
Yeah, I mean, we had Tyler Fitzgerald, but all that athleticism just fizzled with his bat.
Right. And you look at Jung-Hoo Lee, and I mentioned this on last night's show. I don't know of a guy that is supposed to be this small, 160, whatever he is, 65-pound, skinny little guy that's you kind of think of him as a little speedster, a guy that can, slap the ball around the field, move around the bases. I've never seen a guy with such poor fundamentals in sliding. His technique is awful, absolutely awful, Steve. He slides with awkward. His knees, he doesn't stay low. His knees, when he slides into second base, his knees come up.
Yeah.
His slide last night into home plate, keep the feet low and slide low, or dive and use your hand.
Well, to me, yeah. What about the hook slide? But the things that, he doesn't extend his leg. He just kind of lets it bunch up.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was almost as if he was kind of required to slide there. It's like, no, you slide to get past this tag. You're not required to slide into the catcher. Let's go.
Yeah.
So
there's just no creativity.
Right. So, but now Devers was the guy who was, I think he was on deck, and he's the one who's supposed to be kind of directing traffic. I don't know if he was telling him, to get over to the side kind of thing. And it would have been good to see whether he got any direction, but he should have. Willie McCovey was a great hook slider. He actually, that was a thing that they did routinely, was the hook slide, and that a hook slide on that play would have scored him easily.
Oh yeah. If he would have slid out toward away from the home plate and use his hand.
Just use your hand and you're good.
Yeah. And the slide that he did, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is the guy that was supposed to be.
He slowed himself down on that slide, right? I mean, that it was kind of weird. It's like he slid into kind of a bunched up piece of dirt there and just bunched up there instead of
I don't understand that, for that age and that type of
player
body and speed that you would expect from a guy like that to get thrown out. And wasn't really
just bunt.
Yeah.
He could bunt. They give him third base all the time, but I think he has his pride. I'm sorry, though. I cut you off. You're going to say something else about it.
I just thought the ball to left field from Schmidt, it wasn't a deep fly, but it wasn't really shallow. It was medium depth. And for Conforto to throw out junk, you'd think he was throwing out, Wilmer Flores or something. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I do wish these guys would, these sacrifice flies, the Giants, for some reason, just can't get that job done. Give me just a decent fly ball. Why are they always just hitting these dumb little pop-ups? I know that was medium deep, but do the job.
Yeah.
But so
NorCal Sports Live says, I'm glad that bird attacked Lee today.
Look, I don't dislike Lee. I love Lee, but I do.
Yeah, I don't dislike him either. I just think we should get, for what he was
promised
up to be, and for what the fan base, gets behind him. I think we should see a little bit more. I'd like to see him master the leadoff spot, because the Giants don't have a true leadoff hitter. And to me, he should be the right guy that should be able to slap the ball around, get on base, and steal bases.
I need to see more bunts. They're giving third base to so many of them, of the Giants. Just get on base. Just,
Haroku says, fire the whole staff. No one is being held accountable. Well,
have you guys noticed when Bob Melvin holds his press conferences, he shrugs a lot? Right. I did a little thing on that in one of my podcasts. And to me, the shrugging is all about, what are you going to do? And it's, the game is the game. I can't, there's nothing I can do about it. It's kind of a strange, on the positive, it's like, look, I've got faith in my guys, right? But on the negative side, it's like, well, you can't hold me accountable for this. That's the game.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, guys, I am tiring out coming off my hospital stay after a week. I'm running low. Got to get my energy back up. It's going to take probably 4 to 8 weeks to get back to where I was before. So we're going to end the show, but I want to thank Steve Harmon, our special guest. Steve has a podcast that you guys got to go check out on all the podcast channels. You can also catch it on YouTube as well. It is just a voice. There's no video, right, on the YouTube. So you could catch Steve Harmon there. The podcast is called Curveballs and Changeups. Curveballs and Changeups. So make sure you check that out. He does Giants predominantly, but also does the Sacramento A's, or what I guess they're just called the A's, but they're playing in Sacramento. So check out the podcast, Curveballs and Changeups. And Steve, we'll have to have you come back. It was great having you on the show. Obviously, you've been around following baseball as long as I have, or a year longer. So we've been watching Giants baseball for over 55 years. And it's great to have another guy from my era that has been following the game a long time. So great to have you.
Thanks. Hey, Dan, thanks for having me so much. Yeah. It was really enjoyed it. Love talking baseball. And then I hope your recovery goes well.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's just I'm sitting here and I'm starting to feel a little bit like woozy. So I better learn my boundaries here and know that I can only go so long. But guys, thanks for being here. We'll be back tomorrow night. I believe tomorrow night we'll have the Hot Corner with us, where we team up with Giant Sports Talk Live at 8:00. So it'll be the official end of the first half of the season, the All-Star break, and we'll break it all down for you tomorrow night. So make sure you're here for that. Again, check out Steve Harmon, Curveballs and Changeups, the podcast, and we will catch you guys tomorrow. And any final words you got, Steve, before we head out of here?
I hope Logan Webb has a good outing in the All-Star game. So Randy Rodriguez can show his fire out there, and everybody enjoy the All-Star break.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't think we'll see Robbie Ray since he's pitching tomorrow. Yeah. So Paul Skeens is starting against Tariq Skubal. Wouldn't be surprised to see Webb in the second or third inning, because he's
somebody needs to take a picture of Skubal and Robbie Ray at the All-Star game.
Yeah, that would be something. So we've got some detractors out there. Hiroku says fire Melvin. I don't think that's going to happen. So he's just signed, but wouldn't shock me if the Giants just flopped in the second half. If at the end of the season they did a redirection. It's only 1 year they're giving up, which is no big deal, but we'll see where this thing goes. But guys, thanks for being here tonight. Thank you for all your comments, and we will catch you later on the next show. Take care, everybody.